Good morning, ladies. Hmm. 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 So let me, I want to just look and see if there is anyone on this call that I would like to acknowledge as just joining us. There are a couple women who have been intending to join, and I don't want them to show up and not be acknowledged, but I don't see them. So all is good. So this morning, I don't have any general announcements to make other than to thank you for participating in our WhatsApp group. It has been so lovely to be able to connect in such a spontaneous way. It's so much easier than getting on the website was. And so I'm really in gratitude that we're posting and connecting and sharing. And it's really a nice way to stay connected throughout the week. So if you haven't done the WhatsApp and you would like to, it is really such a simple app on your phone. And I'm happy to help you, guide you through it. If you have a little trouble or if you'd like some assistance with that, just let me know. So today we're going to talk about loving oneself. And what does that mean? There are two ways. We talk a lot about self-love. And generally, when we speak to that, we talk about what are the activities and the practices and the disciplines that we are bringing into our life that are self-loving. And that really is a level of self-care. It's a little bit different than self-love. We can take care of ourselves in many ways and still be disappointed in ourselves and find it hard to fully love ourselves. And yet we can still be taking care. And what I want to speak to is what is self-love and loving oneself as its own entity, and how are we inviting that possibility into our lives? So there are two selves that we love that we can potentially be in relationship with. One is the physicality of ourselves, the container which we came in with. And many of us that in and of itself is a journey, because there are many times when looking at our body and our changing body as we're aging and at our infirmaries around our body can create angst for us in a disappointment, a level of disappointment. And this love, not hate, but love challenge around our physicality is one level of self-love, but it is not the eternal level of self-love that we're talking about today. Loving our physicality is temporal. It's here now, and then this will be gone. But the essence of us will not. The eternal piece of us is what I'm talking about with self-love. Loving the you that is underneath of this physical body, that is coming through this physical body, but is not in a container. It is not something that we can look at and say, it's in this level of health because I can judge it by seeing it. We can't see it. So it's a little more difficult for us to have a sense of how am I in relationship with this other me, this other aspect, this other personality. Which one do we really know? Most of us know in this journey, this physical self. That's the self we self-care. That's the self that we tend with our disciplines and our dry brushes and our whatever beauty treatments we're taking, whatever we're doing, whatever exercise and stretching, all of that is to look at this physicality and our relationship with this physicality, with this external piece of ourselves. And it's important, it's very important to have, and it cannot be ignored if we're having a challenging relationship with our external self. That is a piece of ourselves that we have to actually look at. But the journey that I'm speaking to is the journey into knowing ourselves on a different level. The self, our self that we don't yet maybe know. That the journey of our spiritual life is getting to know this internal, this subtle, this expression in like a vapor. It's almost like an air vapor that comes out of us. The energy is so subtle, but that's the relationship that I'm speaking to. How do we practice self-love in a place that is unseen and that we may not fully know? How do we get our arms around understanding and knowing this subtle self of us, this subtle piece of our whole? It's so much easier to be involved with and connected to the physicality. We see it, we feel it, we're working with it. We are present with our physical nature 100% of the time. And yet it is the part of us that has a expiration date on it. It's the part of us that is not going to go on. And we spend so much of our energy in that space. So how do we practice loving oneself and self-love in this internal space? How do we take the place of listening to our mind? We entertain our mind all day long. We value our intellect. We value our mind's journey. We value our mind for its musings and its anticipation. So not to devalue the mind-body experience. However, how is it that we move beyond the senses, the 5 senses of us knowing what we touch, what we hear, what we see, to this more subtle, the third eye experience of ourselves, which is the window into this soul, this eternal nature that we are? How do we find our way into that? We have a reality that is very concrete, but this elusive, subtle part of our body, mind, spirit engaging is a different language. It's not the language that we use to assess our physicality. It's not the language of words or of strength or of power. It's a language of subtlety, of divine connection, of knowingness, of honesty of spirit. It's ethereal, it's subtle, it is, you cannot even put it into your hand. You can't even fill your hand with it. There's nothing about the essence of us that is containable, because we are not containable. We are boundless. And that boundless piece of us is the place where our self-love blossoms. And it's the place in us that we have not yet, possibly in our journey, fully connected to, because it is so soft and gentle and it doesn't have layers to it in the way we can look at our physical container of our body, or our physical container of our life around us. The vision of it is not through our eyes. The experience of it is not through our touch. Those are all ways for us to use the body as a portal, but that's not the ultimate experience of this inner self. So the first step in us loving oneself is to have self-acceptance of this external being, the gift that God gave us of the vehicle that we use in this life, even in its frailty, even in its brokenness, when we have, particularly the aging. So many of us are now in that part of our life where we start to watch the body become something new, and not in a way that it's renewed into its physical vitality. It's being renewed into a different layer of vitality, and where there's a loss for not being as strong and not being as powerful or as agile or as beautiful, or as all of these labels that we've been able to by and large control for the first 2/3 of our life, certainly through the first half of our life. And now those pieces are disintegrating in order for us to actually live into this more subtle place and to get to know ourselves, so that in the last third or the last half of our life, we're working towards this subtle relationship instead of the gross relationship as a physical, energetic system. It's lovely to keep the body vital and healthy as we can, but to acknowledge that it is appropriate that it should start disintegrating, because that is the process that our nature wants to take on. It's what happens out in nature around us. The natural rhythm is for us to start disintegrating, to dry out and to start disintegrating. So we don't have to fight that. We can invite that and allow for that to be a part of our journey as we start to then be more reflective on the internal self. When we acknowledge that our body has been a beautiful gift for us to journey in this physicality, we allow our mind to settle. So our mind spends a lot of time thinking about our body image, our mental capacity, our success in competition. We keep our mind engaged by these reference points that have to do with our physicality and our mind. And that's how we move through the first half of our life, is in judgment of how it is we're performing in the world. Even when we say it's not important, there's always a thought. Could I have done this better? Did somebody else do this better? Am I, doing the best I can? There's a lot of self-judgment around this physical body and our mental capacity. So letting that go, the first step is the acceptance of I am what I am. And I may have an issue around my health in some way, or I may have an issue around my mental capacity or some of my senses, whatever it is, it's fine. The acceptance that this was a gift in its completeness, however complete looks to you, a gift from God. And when that happens, our mind settles. When we're critical of ourselves, our mind is in agitation. And when our mind is in agitation, it's very difficult for us to move beyond the physicality and mental state into this inner state that I'm speaking of. That's why we employ the tools and the disciplines such as meditation and chanting and mudras and mantras and all of that, is so we can settle our mind, so we can move beyond the physicality, which is so present and so much a part of our life. It's very difficult for us to move past that into self-love of this other sort of ephemeral, very, very spacious part of ourselves, which is the place we want to be in self-love and in relationship. And we get hijacked in the physicality. We get hijacked by what it is we think we can do in the world. And those are all wonderful, beautiful things. You came in a physical body, but ultimately the relationship we want to leave this body with is the one that we have with our inner self, because that's what we take with us. We don't take any of this other, this all dissolves. This all dissolves. So how do we stay in that relationship? First, we accept that this all dissolves and that our physical body is temporal. It's just here for a short period of time in the scheme of everything. And we let our mind settle around that. So we stop fighting that. When we have a physical challenge of on any level, which are going to continue as we age, when our body shifts in its capacity and ability to let go, we let go of that. And we are in relationship with the beauty of what our body has allowed us to do, so that we can settle our mind, so that we can settle our mind and move into this inner self, this awakening that's happening in self-love of our eternal nature. It is a flame that we shelter inside of our eternal nature. It doesn't flicker. Occupied mind flickers. There's a movement. It's like the top of the candle, the flickering light. It moves. It has a movement like this. But our inner place is like this. There's no flickering. There's a stability. And it's in that stability that we're able to take on whatever comes through our life without being agitated or tumbled over or disappointed, that our life becomes this very stable light that's within us. That's the eternal nature of you. That's what your longing is, to be in that place and to be in relationship with that part of yourself. We're not trying to control our minds. We're trying to liberate our minds. It's a very big difference. We talk about controlling it as a piece of our meditation. I want to control the thoughts. We're not trying to control anything. We're trying to liberate ourselves. But a flickering mind is not settled, and it cannot be liberated. It is more contained. A busy mind is more entrapped than a quiet mind. A quiet mind, which is liberated, is free. So we want to be in the relationship of this free, settled mind. So we transform the mind so that the inner self can be revealed, and so that our self-love, our love, our oneness of love of ourself can blossom. So this week, take the time to be in relationship with this eternal nature of yourself, however it shows up, but be reminded that this outer level, this cloak that we wear through our life that has all these moving pieces to it, is just the vehicle. And that as it dissolves, we need to be in better, deeper, more profound, more connectedness with ourselves, with that inner place, and to love that fully, because that's what you're taking with you through the continuous and the samsaras of one life to the next life. That's what you're carrying with you. And the more that we can be in connection and to be in the beauty of that, that's bliss, that's joy. That's where those situations of our understanding and our experience sit. They reside in that inner place. They don't reside in the physical body. The physical body does what it does. So take this week to be in relationship with this deeper place in yourself that you will be carrying into eternity, and give such great deep gratitude that no matter what happens to the physicality of us, that inner place is solid and stable and has the capacity to journey on with us.
Thank you, Nirmala. Now, while you were speaking, I was just thinking, often our self-love, or the level of our self-love, is a result of how we have been loved, been taken care of as children or teenagers, young women, and that I think that's something I would invite us all for a moment to tune into. How have I been loved in my childhood? And are there any residues of lack where you felt like you have not been embraced and accepted the way you are or the way you were at that time? And I think then self-care comes in to really learn. Self-care is really the learning of self-love in action for me. That I am worth it, that I deserve to take care of myself, that I am good enough, that I am enough in general. And I think that's a lot. So I like for us to just for a moment close our eyes and to slow our exhalation. To take deep breath and go deeper with each exhalation. Allow yourself, to regulate and slow down your nervous system and tune into your own heart. And be in the inquiry of how have I been loved when I was young. Now there's still some parts that need to be integrated into my entire being. What did I take on as truth about myself? Because others said something. And can I just let that go and come into the fragrance and frequency of I am love. And the way I love myself is also the way I can love. Because I can only share love to the extent the way I love myself. Because love is truly unconditional. Love has no boundaries, no limits. It's just a pure giving. And it's really something we have been taught as children. But the more we grow up, yeah, the more our, like Nirmal has said, our bodies are letting go. So the more we can also let go of all the constructs around love and come to its pureness. And I want you to not only sensing your heart right now, but also seeing into your heart right now. And seeing this humongous muscle inside of you. With its 4 chambers. And see how it's pumping. And how this pumping keeps you alive and keeps you feeling. I like to always envision these 4 chambers of my heart. Like one chamber is for love. One is for compassion. One is for patience. And one for understanding. Because if I meet a person with these 4 qualities, if I meet myself with these 4 qualities, I am in love. And then take 3 more deep breaths. Good, and then we slowly want to open our eyes. And bringing our hands into prayer pose. From here, we bring our hands forward, so the palms facing forward. And then they face out to the side, all the way, so you stretch here. The sounds are sat, kar, tar. One of you has their microphone not turned off. Sheila, if you'll be so kind and turn off your microphone. So it's sat, kar, tar, which means God is the doer. Yeah, so we're giving over. We're opening our heart center. We're stretching here. At the same time, you're setting the boundaries necessary for us to feel safe and secure and protected. So it's sat, kar, tar, 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 sat, kar, tar. Now inhale here deeply. Open mouth, exhale. Inhale. Open mouth, exhale. One more time. Good. Now bring your arms up, and we just did it yesterday in class. I want your arms just out to 60 degrees. You're making sure your arms stay absolutely straight, like steel. They're solid. The fingertips and pointing up. All fingers touch, and from 60 you go up to 90 without touching your palms. This will create more circulation for your heart. It's really heart health. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. We will do this for 3 minutes. Arms go from 60 up to 90. In alignment with your breath, you go at your own pace. To love ourselves, we need, a good air element. We need a free diaphragm so that we can breathe right. The angle of 60 degrees actually goes into the heart. Keep going, a little more. And Britt Marie, if that feels too much with your one hand, yeah, you can just envision that you move that arm and can rest it. One more minute. Last little bit. Inhale up, stretch, stretch up. Have the back of your hands touch. And then slowly sweep through your auric field out to the side. Rest your hands for a moment onto your knees, palms facing upward. Regulate your breath. See how your breath might be much fuller right now, but you get more breath into your chest. It's always said when we breathe right, we can live right, we can love right. And then we place our left hand onto our heart center, right hand on top. And I want us to sing, because the tongue is the extension of the heart. They even have the same color. Yeah. So, and when we sing, we create oxytocin. When we create oxytocin, it's like the love hormone. And today we use it as the love hormone for ourselves. So, and we would sing a very easy song. It's I am bountiful, I am blissful, I'm beautiful. So I just, for those who don't know that song, let the energy really penetrate your entire being. And then when you feel safe, you just join. Hear the words.
I
We just allow these words to sink into our heart. We are bountiful, blissful, and beautiful. That we are the light of our soul. And when we are in love and our love, this light shines from every cell of our body out into the world. Take 3 deep breaths. Now our hands come into prayer pose. Take a deep inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you for being with us, with each and every one. Have a beautiful weekend.